Hello guys, welcome back to another lovely trading video. In this one we're going to be doing some in-depth stock analysis on DoorDash, ticker DASH. Reason for that is it's continuing to push higher. Obviously we did a initial analysis when it did its original gap, but it is continuing a strong uptrend. So it only makes sense to do an updated analysis because some of the targets would have slightly changed, and it would just bring more awareness to kind of our price targets on what we are currently looking at. So firstly, as always, we go over to the daily chart, see is there any gaps that need to be filled, because more likely than not the gap will get filled. So the first thing we look at is, okay, we had a gap here, we ended up getting this filled on Thursday, so we don't need that one. And so the key standout gap fill will be at this 191, kind of, so that we could use it as a 192 level. Then the other one we could stands out quite easily is at 115.75. They're the two that kind of stand out very quickly as soon as you look at the chart. So they're the only two that we're going to bother trading off. You may have some smaller gaps within here. For example, this 114 would be considered a gap because the price never came back down to that level. However, it's not as clear to all traders and investors, so I tend to stay away from them because you don't tend to get as big as reaction at these levels. And as we're not trading them off them, and we're only tending to use them as price entries, or kind of not price entries, price exits, or targets on our trades, we tend to be looking for the more significant levels. So 192 and 115.75 will be the two ones. Obviously 115.75 is a long target away, so it may be something we look more for the future, or if you're looking for a very long term short. But again, then that would be quite a risky trade, so it depends on how you trade in your own style. So now straight onto the standard deviation charts, we can see that where DoorDash kind of came to its top is the first deviation on the 4 hour. It's not a coincidence. When it comes into this level, you would expect it to kind of either at least kind of stop there for the day. You would don't usually tend to see them on that same day push through, but it would be more likely on Monday to kind of start seeing a pullback, because if we go on to we'll do a 5-day 5-minute, we can see right near the end of close at around 325 is when it made that high, and then we started to pull back. So it wouldn't be unlikely on Monday for us to kind of continue this pullback. And where would we be looking for this pullback? We would be looking for at least a 141 pullback. Reason for that is lines up with two kind of things. If you look at the last 5 days, you can kind of see that is a support and resistance line anyway. But the reason we're picking that as a level is that is the half deviation on the daily, and the why we use that as a pullback zone at a minimum is because if a stock's going to continue up, it usually has a pullback, and that pullback will usually come to at least the closest full or half deviation, and in this case the closest deviation is a half deviation, and that is around 141/142. But we could quite possibly see a pullback all the way to 234 or 227. Both are still, all three are all quite likely, but the one that we would near enough guarantee is at 142/141 level. We will kind of get rid of this 234 just because we don't need it for this second. Now to the upside, where do we start seeing a reversal? Yes, it could happen here. And wouldn't be that surprising just because we've moved so much in the last few days. So it wouldn't be surprising for this to kind of be a reversal point, or at least a large pullback zone. But if it does continue up, where will we see the next kind of pullback and or reversal zone? And that will be 256. That's the second deviation on the daily. Again, we would expect selling pressure to come in here. Could be a reversal, could be a pullback. You can never really guarantee which one it's going to be. But you tend to see at least a pullback coming into these levels. And then the next one would be around 280, 284, 310, 312, and then at a far push 340. What you are seeing though with Dash is that the deviations are very close together, and this is quite a good thing because it tends to make the levels more significant. For example, if it breaks through this 255 and continues higher, it does look like 280 will most likely be that strong reversal zone. Reason for that is you got the second deviation on the 4 hour and the third deviation on the daily, both lining up. When you have this, you tend to have a very significant level and a strong pullback, and if not a reversal. So coming into 255, we would still be looking to get a short trade on that, short bias trade on that. Again, depending on how you trade, you may trade that differently. But we would be looking more for, smaller targets. So we would be looking for a 248 cover and a 241 cover. But if we were shorting at 283, kind of slash 280, then we would be looking for a lot larger move, probably down to the 255 to the 250 move. The reason we would look for a longer target on a stock like that is because the deviations are so close, and yes, they are somewhat close now, but you are still very new to the news catalyst, so that takes on added risk, which we don't want. So once that catalyst starts to die down, which it would do by the time you get to 280, you can take that heavier short position because there's not as much hype around the stock. So those are our key targets for now. Obviously, if the stock starts selling off, we do have a buy target coming into 288, and then you've also got that gap fill at 192, so this would most likely be a good buying zone. Again, if it continues lower, 170, 160, 142, and all of that. But for right now, this is a stock we are looking more to trade on the short side, because it does look like it's going to continue up. And to kind of to summarize the video, we've already come into the first deviation on the 4 hour. So if you haven't traded that now, you've kind of missed that trade. You would wait for it, unless you're a long bias trader, when you could wait for the retest once it breaks through. So for right now, we're looking to get a small short play. This is just based off my strategy. Depending on how you trade, you may use these levels differently, but I will be looking to short around 255, 256. With a first target and a move, and we'll move our stock to break even at around 250, and then we would be looking for a heavy short coming into a 280 to 283, and this would be where we would look for quite a large short, and we would have a first target of around probably 255, 256. So hope that gives you some insight into how we are looking at DoorDash. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope to see you in the next one, and that's it. Peace.